What's up, everybody? Welcome to part 4 of the Industry Career Agent in EVE Online. Um, this is the Making Mountains of Molehills 4 of 10 mission. And if we see here, or if you look on the screen, initially it looks like we just need to provide 7,000 units of titanium. And while that's easy enough because we have some of that left over from our over exuberant mining previously, as you can see there, part of the mission also is the objective is to destroy the rogue drones and mine the Veldspar for your agent. So one thing that we can do, I'm pretty sure there is no drone. Oh, there is a little bit. Okay, so I've got a drone bay here, and you note it's got it's got 10 units or 10 meters cubed of inventory space in the drone bay. And generally speaking, if you're going to use drones for combat, the drone bay is what you want to be most interested in. Both the drone bay, which you can see here on the fitting screen over on the left, and which shows kind of how much inventory you can use for active drones. Now, you can carry as many drones as you want in your cargo hold, or up here where you've got 50 meters cubed, but you can't actually access them when you're out in space, so that's not quite as useful. Now, if you look in the drone bay, though, you've got 10 meters cubed, so there's two things. One is the space in your drone bay, and the other item of importance is the drone bandwidth, which you can see over here on the fitting window. Now, if this thing isn't showing for some reason, you just click on this little attributes window and it'll open up, and you can expand and drop that out. So I am a Galente, and I've got two basic options. If there's going to be rogue drones out there that I need to attack, I can either remove one of my miner lasers, or my mining lasers, and replace it with, say, this civilian Gatling gun that they gave me. Or, and might as well put that Salvager 1 on there. That's nice. Or I can get a couple combat drones to put in here. Now, my combat or my drone skills are still being developed, but let's see where they're at right now. This is actually what I've been leveling up on this individual. So I've got some of these leveled up here to level 2 or 3. I've got drones 5. Now, the drone skill, just to give you kind of a brief look at drones in particular, for every level of this specific skill, this drone skill allows me to control one drone in space. Now, that is completely regardless of how much space I can actually, like how many drones I can actually fit in my hold, or how many drones I can control. So that's what these two statistics mean. The megabits per second is going to limit the amount of drones that I can control of a certain size, or how many. And so why that is, so I've got this at 5, which means that I can control the maximum of 5 drones out in space at any one point in time. I think I need, yeah, this is going to be, I should have planned this out. But, all right, so I got to get light drone operation in order to use light drones, which is what I need to do. I'm going to drop this right at the top there. And it's only 16 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze this. And then when this is about done, I will hop back in and we'll get into this. Now, like I said, the alternative is that we replace one of these lasers with these mining lasers with a civilian Gatling gun, or we go into the market and we, let's see. We look up Gatling railgun. Okay, that's not it. So why don't we just look it up manually? So ship equipment, turrets and bays, and just to figure out what kind of weapon this is, you can always look at it, look at the description. Hybrid weapon that delivers a steady stream of damage. Okay, so we're looking at hybrid turrets. And blasters, let's say small, because we're in a small ship here. And it lays out what the different options are. So I believe that blasters are, I've not really played with Galente, so I don't know kind of what the difference between these two are, but I would guess that one of them is more effective at short range, and one of them is more effective at long range. And so, but they both use the same ammo or the same charges, as they're called. So particle blasters operate on a similar principle, and we're just looking at the information here. As a railgun, except they fire a magnetically contained ball of subatomic particles. No other turret class can match the sheer destructive power of particle blasters. Okay. It also has the worst range of all turrets. Okay, so the blasters are the short-range versions, and you can see that by coming over into the attributes, looking at the optimal and the fall-off. So the fall-off is 1,500 meters, and that's really very small. And the optimal range is 1,000. So, yeah. What I don't know and what I need to research, and I guess I can do that on the side here while we wait, is when you're looking at optimal versus fall-off, is the fall-off 1,500 meters plus the optimal range is then 2,500 the actual fall-off range, or is it once you hit 1,500 and so it's literally only 50% beyond the optimal range? I don't know. I'll look it up and I'll get back to you. So give me just a minute, and it'll be just a second for you. We'll jump back in. The skill will be done, and we can get going from there. And the reason why I'm training light drone operation is so that I can operate light drones, and I at least need to have level 1 in order to access them. By increasing this skill, I just increase the damage that they do per skill level. So give me just a second and I will hop off and check this. Okay, we're back and the skill is done training. I just wanted to show you this website, which is what I was looking at here. There's a lot of information on this site. Don't get overwhelmed, but the information that we were looking for is at the gun's optimal range plus its fall off. So we'll just get back to the game because it's not very important. I'm in the middle of tech support with setting up a website, so I apologize if this is going to be a little bit disjointed, but so that's what we're looking for here. So we've got the blasters. Instead of picking up weapons and putting weapons on our mining ship, the Venture here, I thought it would be more interesting to put a couple light drones. I don't even need to word search for it. I can just click through. So there's a drones area. We're looking for combat drones, light scout drones. All right. In order to use Tech 2 drones, we need skills that are at level 5. We obviously don't have those, and because we're an alpha account, we can't get to that point. So that said, I'm going to buy some hobgoblins because I know that, let's see, just to show you, for each of these drones, they do different types of damage. And if you scroll down in the information under attributes, it'll tell you what type. So hobgoblins do thermal, acolytes do EM, hornets do, shoot, I think it's kinetic, and then warriors do explosive damage. And that's what these 4 items are here: EM, thermal, kinetic, and explosive. So scrolling back up, it shows us that each one takes 5 units of volume, and it should tell us also what bandwidth is needed, which is 5 megabits. Now, I'm going to get rid of this and bring this back to the fore. Again, we've got 10 megabits of drone bandwidth and 10 meters cubed. So that tells us that we can control 2 of these light drones at a time in this ship, and we can keep 2 of them in the drone bay, which is fortunate because it would be unfortunate if those didn't work out. So I'm going to buy 2 of these. They're pretty cheap, and they show up here. I can either take them and drop them on the icon here to put them in the drone bay, or I can just drop them on the drone bay there. So there they are. They've shown up. I'm going to close out of pretty much everything we've got here, and we're going to go to this location. Yeah, I know. It requires a lot of titanium. So we're going to go to this location, mine, and destroy rogue drones. And again, this is Making Mountains of Molehills 4 of 10, where we're doing even more mining. So 7,000 units of titanium, which, if we remember from the website we were looking at in the previous mission, I'll I'll warp to the location there.
Drive active.
If we remember that, we get, you know, a few hundred units out of each block of 100 Veldspar or Scordite. So we'll go and we'll mine. I would guess they'll just have Veldspar here because it's the best and sort of easiest ore to find. And they pre-populate this. So you can see in the general tab, there are 2 drone enemies there. You know, it's funny. Okay, there it is. So what we're looking for up here, what was tucked away in the corner, is the drone control window. And there are the 2 hobgoblins that we had. They're the drones that are in the bay. We can pull them and drag them out manually into space and just drop them here and they will deploy. Or we can drag them down into this little pull down, which is drones in local space, and that will work. Or we can right click on them and launch drones. And I would guess there's probably even a hotkey that I'm unaware of for that. So I'm going to orbit. I'm going to change the default orbit to 2000, and I'm going to orbit one of these at 2000. So it's going to pull me in a little closer, and I'll target both of these enemies that are here, and I'll drag my drones out, select this target, and then right click on the drones in local system and engage target. And you can see these are the little green guys, and they do quite a bit of damage, as we're finding here. And we're going to destroy that as well and get some mining done. Now, we were taking some damage there, but the drones are now idle. And then you can either right click on them to return to drone bay, which has them manually or sort of automatically come back to you and go back into your drone bay on their own. If you're near them, you can scoop to the drone bay, which means you have to be under 2,500 meters, much like they were a canister or something. But you have to go and like manually pick them up. Or you can have them just return to you and orbit you. Generally, I just hit Shift R for recall, and that brings them all back in automatically and puts them back in the drone bay. Other things to consider is if you've got drones out like we do here, the opportunity for you to forget that they're out there and to warp off and go hand in your mission while forgetting them out here instead of picking them up, you can lose a lot of drones this way. So get into the habit of every time you leave recalling your drones, or every time you finish combat, even as a better practice, recall your drones. And before you hand in your missions, make sure that you have the drones that you went out with. Because if you don't, you can always fly back out. And just to do this as to show an example, before we hand in this mission, I will show you how to manage the situation if you accidentally leave your drones out here. Because you can come back, as long as you can come back to the same place, you can right click on your own ship and reconnect to lost drones. Because when you show up originally, they won't even respond to Shift R or any of these other commands because you abandoned them and they lost their connection to you. So coming back, you'd have to right click on your ship, reconnect to lost drones, and do it that way. Another way to do it is to right click on your capacitor here down at the bottom, and you get the same option as well. So I think we've got enough Veldspar. We've got quite a few units of that. So just to show you what happens, I'm going to warp off and leave my 2 drones here.
Active.
I'm not going to dock, but do that there. And it's at this point after you warp out, is generally, it's like when you lock your keys in your car, that right as you're closing the door, that's usually when you notice that the keys are not with you, and it's that slow motion like, no, as the door's closing and you see your keys sitting inside the car. So as you warp out is generally when you're going to remember that you left your drones, and you're going to have to warp back to the location that you were at.
Warp drive active.
And if you can't remember how to reconnect to your drones, I'll make a little video of it, and that'll be a quick tip. But you can just fly to them manually and scoop them to your cargo hold by right-clicking on them in the overview here. So there are a lot of different ways to do it. So right now we have no drones in our control, none in our bay. We screwed the pooch on that one. And so if I right-click on my ship, reconnect to lost drones, boop, there they are, and they're returning to me. So here we go. So that's really handy. I'm going to recall them, and it tells you down here, returning. Now if you see, just to give you a little bit of information on drones, you have the 3 different gray bars here. The leftmost gray bar represents their shields, which will regenerate slowly over time, much like your own. The middle is their armor, and the far right one is their structure. Those 2 will not regenerate on their own, and you'll have to repair them in a repair shop. So I'm going to approach both of the wrecks of these drones that I was out here, and I happened to bring along a salvager. So within, I think it's 5,000 meters, you can salvage the wrecks of the things that you destroy, basically. And in doing so, you can get a decent amount of money from them. So I only have the one salvager on here, so I have to do this a little bit slowly. But you can see it poking out the back there, and we actually got something from that, so that's nice. And you have to have things targeted in order to use your salvager on them. The components that you get from salvaging, I don't know, to use it as to give you a point of comparison, it's not always successful, by the way, and it relies heavily on the skill that you have in salvaging, which should come as no surprise. But if you're running like a level 4 mission, you might get, I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 3 million, maybe less, sometimes more, 1 to 3 million in mission rewards, and the bounties from the mission may be anywhere from like 2 to 20 to 40 million worth in bounties, and the salvage you can get anywhere from 5 to 7 million. So it's just that much more. So right there, just from these 2 little things, I managed to pick up 51,000 unit or ISK worth of salvage, and that's actually pretty good. So I'm going to warp to 0. Or actually, I'm going to
drive active.
Instead of doing that, I am going to dock. No reason for me to warp to 0. I've got my drones. Everything is good. And so once we get in there, I'm going to have to reprocess the ore that I've got, which is this 4,500 units of Veldspar. And that will give me, I think, more than enough tritanium. But we'll see. We'll sort of get back into a little bit of what we were talking about in the 3rd video, or in the 3rd mission, where we were looking at reprocessing.
Docking request accepted.
I don't think I explained it incredibly well as I was thinking about it again. So let's get back into it a little bit. So if I go to my ore hold into the item hanger, I combine the stacks, I select reprocess. All right. Now, in general, when you reprocess things, there's a percentage of materials that you can get out of the object that you're reprocessing, in this case Veldspar. And what percentage of useful material you get out of it is dictated by the skills that you have in reprocessing, the level of reprocessing facility that is at the station that you're at, and a number of other things. And so if I hover over this tritanium, I can show you, and it'll say that I should be able to get 19,090 units of tritanium from this amount of Veldspar, but I can't. What I will actually get is 9,545, and 9,545 is not recoverable, right? And that's literally 50 50%, and that's where that number comes from here. So, and then previously, because I've got this much Veldspar in here, the Veldspar itself is worth 56,200 ISK. The tritanium I'm getting out from it is worth less. You can see that it's worth 41,100, and it'll actually cost us about 100, it'll cost us about 1,600 if I'm reading this correctly, in order to even get that out. So we're losing money on this processing, but I need the units of tritanium for this mission, so I'll just do it anyway. And now I've got 16,000, and I can complete the mission. So that wraps up Making Mountains of Molehills 4 out of 10. We got a little bit more into mining, a little bit into combat and drone play, which sounds vaguely sexual when I say it like that. But regardless, I hope this was useful. I'll try to do a quick tips on the reconnecting to drones, because that's something that I think everybody struggles with and struggles to remember how to do. And I'll also do a little bit of something with, as we get more into it and into these combat career agents as well, we can talk more about turrets and combat mechanics and how those all work. Because it's incredibly complicated, but it's kind of, I find it interesting in its complexity. So anyway, thanks for watching. I've got an announcement coming up that hopefully you who enjoy these videos will perhaps also enjoy. But until then, check out the links below. I've got links to other videos that we're doing here on YouTube, and by we I mean I and the dogs. And in addition to that, there are some links to both Amazon to purchase the game or other aspects for the game or little components for the game. In addition to a link to CCP, the developer of Eve, where you can pick up a free account and you can try this yourself. And you'd have the same experience as I do on this character. I'm also an alpha or a free-to-play account that you've been watching, and so your experiences should be very similar, both in their restrictions and in the freedom that you have to sort of explore the game. So thanks for watching, and check out all the other videos that I've got. And until next time, I'll see you around. Thanks.